Okay, good evening, students. So, till now, we had talked about the doshas superficially, right? Where they are located, what is their major work, and what are its properties, what is it made up of, and you know, the most important works of each dosha we have discussed so far, and its Panchama Bhuta relation and such things. And we have discussed about dhatus and malas, right? So, as I've told you, we will be dealing about each dosha in detail, right? So, now we are going to do the same. Each dosha is having five subtypes. The Ayurveda is not just limited to Vata Pitta Kapha. That's it. No. Ayurveda says that each dosha is having a subtype and is located at a particular place and has a particular function, just like how the modern science has different organ systems, organs, there is specific work like that, isn't it? So Ayurveda also classifies the doshas into five types each, and each is having a specific function, and when they are vitiated, will give rise to specific diseases, right? So, as we'll move further, we'll be knowing what these doshas, what these subtypes of the doshas do, where they are located, and what are its specific functions. Okay. So, if you know this properly, in the coming years, you'll be able to diagnose the diseases and you'll be able to plan specific treatments for that particular subtype of Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, which has been vitiated. That is the importance. Also, you should be having a fair idea of the physiology before going into the pathology, right? So you should be knowing the prakriti before knowing the vikriti. So that is what we have to follow, right? Rogamado pariksheta tato anantaram aushadam, it has been said. First, roga needs to be decided. What is the diagnosis? So for that, you need to know what is a normalcy. To know what is abnormal, you need to know what is the normal, right? What are the normal functions of the subtypes of the doshas need to be known, so that you will be able to better diagnose and also to plan the treatments accordingly in the coming years. You'll be learning that, right? So this is the scope of today's discussion. Okay, please maintain a notebook, and all the shlokas which I am telling you are extremely important. First year is the basics. I tell you again and again, and in my previous classes also, whatever shlokas I have told you and whatever tables which I have asked you to make are to be made, and it is very extremely important to know those concepts, understand, and also memorize the shlokas. Okay, whatever I am telling you, please try to do it at the earliest, so as to not have any problems during your internal examinations or your final theory examinations, the university exams. Okay, so moving forward, first dosha which we take up is Vata, the most important, the most difficult, and also the most interesting dosha of all. I cannot say the most important like that, but still, the Vata dosha is taken up first because, as I've told you again, that shloka comes into play. Pittam pangu kafam pangu pangavo maladhatava vayuna yatra niyante tatra gachanti megavat. Right? So, Vayu is very important because any movement in the body is governed by Vata. Okay? So, that's why we are taking up Vata first. Moving forward. So, as we have earlier discussed in my previous lectures, if you would have seen every dosha in the body, even the entire body itself is made up of Panchamahabhutas. So, specifically, Vayu and Akash Mahabhuta make up the Vata dosha. Okay, this has been previously discussed. So, just to remember, in your introduction, in the answer sheet when you are writing it, this should be mentioned that it is made up of Vayu and Akash Mahabhutas. Okay, next. Utpatti and Nirukti. As I've told you, all the Sanskrit words have their derivation and root words, right? So for Vata, what is the root word? What is the derivation for it? Where does this word come from? As European languages, they do not have any particular meaning. They just give a word. Sometimes it will have a meaning. They will say that it is coming either from Latin or Greek. Otherwise, in the English language, there is no much root words or differentiation of the words. But in Sanskrit, every word will have dhatu, upsarga, and pratyay, right? The prefix, the root word, and the suffix, right? So the root word for Vata is Tatra Vagati Gandhanayoriti Vata, right? So the dhatu is Tatra Vagati Gandhana. So Gati stands for, the word Gati means movement. Even in general Hindi, Telugu, the Kannada, you might have heard of this word. Gati means what? Movement. Gandhana is the word for enthusiasm or the energy or the utsaha to do something. That kind of feeling which comes in a living being is Gandhana. Gati and Gandhana together make a person lively, makes a person as he is a living being, we say, right? Even till date in our languages, we use the word prana. If any person is, very weak, we will say, oh my God, it's as though my prana is about to leave. Like that we will say, right? We'll use the word prana. It is nothing but vata. The word, even in common languages, we use the word prana for life, right? That movement, that liveliness, that enthusiasm which is given to the body is by Vata. Without Vata, there is no Pitta, there is no Kapha. The body will just decay. It is just Panchamabhuta. It will go back, right? The Prana and the Chetana, whenever it leaves the body falls off like a dry leaf, right? So, Gati and Gandhana together, when it merges along with the Pitta and Kapha and other dhatus and forms a human body, that's when the body becomes alive and we move and we breathe and we feel alive. So this Nirukti is very important. Vagati Gandhanayoriti dhatu. That is the dhatu or the root word for Vata. I hope this is clear. Okay. Next. So as I've told you, doshas reside in particular places. Although doshas will be circulating all over the body, there are specific places where doshas are present, or it is their seat, we can say. Okay, it is the major place where they reside. Okay, so this shloka needs to be by hearted. It is extremely important. It is taken from Ashtanga Hridaya Sutra Sthana again, 12th chapter. Okay, so the shloka goes like this. Pakvashaya kati sakti shrotrasthis-sparshanendriyam sthanam vatasya tatrapi pakvadhanam visheshatah. Okay, so where are all the places? So initially you might find it very hard to memorize these words and the shlokas, but over time you will get used to these words. You will get used to Ayurvedic anatomical and physiological terms. Because you haven't learned these things since your childhood, you might be facing difficulty. But just go with the flow and learn these shlokas and keep these words in the back of your mind and it will be all right. Okay. So what is Pakvashaya? Pakvashaya is Pakva Ashaya, where the digested food will reside. What is it? It is nothing but the intestines, large intestine, isn't it? Pakvashaya. Ama Ashaya means what? Where the undigested food lands from the esophagus, it will go into the stomach, right? Amashaya. This is Pakvashaya. In Pakvashaya, it is the seat of Vata, Vata Dosha. Okay. And Kati. Kati is nothing but the pelvic region. Okay, little bit in front. So as I've told you, the major seat of, in my previous classes, if you would have heard, 3 major halves of the body it is divided into. The upper portion is dominated by Kapha, the middle portion by Pitta, and the lower portion is all dominated by Vata, isn't it? That is below the umbilicus, right? So, Kati is the pelvic region, okay? Sakti. Sakti is again the waist region, or we can say more specifically, probably the groin region, okay? Shrotra. Shrotra is the ears. So ears is having a cavity, right? So anywhere there is cavity, there is Akasha and Vayu Mahabhuta predominance there. So there, Vata is also predominant because it needs to carry the impulses and it is having a cavity. Wherever there is a cavity, there will be the presence of Vata. Okay, that is why Shrotra. Shrotra means the ear, the external auditory meatus, which we call. Okay. Shrotra, Asthi. Asthi is the special seat of Vata. Okay, you will be studying about Ashray Ashray Bhava in coming classes. Okay, so in that you will be able to understand in detail about Asthi and Vata relationship. Okay, so for now you just understand that Asthi or the bones, in bones also Vata resides. Okay, of course, Majjadhatu will reside inside the bone. That is a different thing. But Vata will also be there. Okay. Sparshana, the tactile sensation which we get all over the skin, the entire twak is dominated by Vata because the impulses need to go, and wherever the impulses are to be felt, there Vata needs to be there. So entire skin is having Vata. Okay. So for to perceive as such. Okay. So Vata will be there on the skin. Okay. Asti and Sparshanendriyam, right? And of this, it is said here, Sthanam Vatasya Tatrapi Pakwadhanam Visheshatah. Of all these places, Pakwashaya is the main seat of Vata. Okay? So, whenever we give Basti and all, you will be studying about this later. We will be concentrating on the Pakwashaya region. It is the Moola or the root of the body. It has Vata. There only the Vata needs to be controlled. Contrary to modern science, if you correlate Vata to be something like nerves or CNS or whatever, it should be the brain. But no, Ayurveda says that Vata is to be controlled from Pakwashaya. Okay? Yeah. So that is one important thing. Pakwadhanam Visheshatah. This word you need to remember. Okay? Pakwadhanam Visheshatah. Yes. So general properties of Vata. This is very important to again diagnose the diseases. Tatra Ruksho Lagushita Khara Sukshmaschalo Nilaha. Okay. So this is again from taken from the Ashtanga Sutrasthana first chapter. This is extremely important shloka. You need to by heart this. If you don't by heart it here, you will by heart it in the Samhita or you will by heart it somewhere else. Okay. You will have to do this in first year. You will have to by heart the previous shloka and this shloka also. So what are the properties of Vata? Vata causes dryness. Okay. Vata is light. Vata is cold. Vata is rough. Vata is subtle. It can move through minute pores. Okay. Vata is mobile. It causes the basic property of Vata is mobility. Without Vata, there is no movement in the body. So wherever there is Vata, there is movement. Okay. This is known as Avagra. So you need to spell it as Anila. When you are chanting, you need not spell this A. But when you are reading, there is A here. It has been skipped because of the Sanskrit grammar. Okay. So you have to split this actually, and then there'll be a. As I've told you in my previous lectures, one of the synonyms of Vata is Anila, right? So these are the properties of Vata Dosha. So you can see as wherever in whichever person there is what do we call increase of Vata, you can see dry skin. You can see the weight of the person decreases, and you can see that the person becomes cold and his body becomes rough, everything like that. Okay. So all these things can be appreciated in a person. These are the gunas which need to be appreciated in a person having Vataja kind of diseases. We'll be studying about this earlier. That's why learning about these gunas is important. So please by heart the shloka, and whatever words are here, you need to correlate it clinically. Okay. So you'll learn about it in the next coming classes. For now, you need to remember these gunas as it is. Okay. Yeah. So other gunas are Yogavahi. Yogavahi guna is something which accelerates the properties of other substances when mixed with it. Okay. Wood is the fuel and you have ignited it. Okay. Now you put petrol in it. The petrol is the Yogavahi for that process of combustion, isn't it? Wood is already there. It is burning. But when you put petrol in it, what will happen? You'll have a huge flame. The reaction is speeding up. That is the Yogavahi property. So the shloka goes as Yogavahi Paramvayu Samyogat Ubhayartakrit Dahakrit Tejasa Yukta Sheetakrit Soma Samshrayat. Okay. So whenever it comes in contact with the hot substances, it will make it more hot. Whenever it comes in contact with the cold substances, it will make it even more cold. In short, they are saying when it comes in contact with pitta, it will accelerate the process of pitta, whatever the thing which it is doing. And when it comes in contact with kapha, it will accelerate the processes which the kapha does. Okay, so it is having Yogavai property. Similarly, vata, when it comes in contact with, say, poison, if the vata is not controlled, the poison spreads to the entire body because of the Yogavai property of vata. Okay. That is the clinical correlation. The vata needs to be controlled. That's why, in all cases, we see to it that the vata is kept under balance so that the pitta and kapha will not get vitiated. That is the funda. Okay. Vishada. Vishada is clearness because vata is not having any shape, any form, anything. It is clear. You cannot say that this is vata. For pitta, there is color and smell and there is a little sliminess, and kapha is a little bit, semi-solid. It is having stickiness and all. You can see them, but you cannot see vata. Vata is amurta dravya. Amurta is it does not have a form. So it is vishada. It is also daruna. Okay. Daruna here means stiffness. It causes stiffness also. Okay. Rajo bahula. Because without vata, there is no activity. So rajas is having the property of activity, becoming active. So it is rajo bahula. Okay, it is having rajas. These are some of the other gunas. So coming to the vata karma. Okay, this whatever the big shloka which you are seeing here is vata karma. Now we have dealt about the places, the gunas, everything. The karma of vata. What does exactly vata do? When you say that vata can do everything, here they are giving few examples what vata does. And I highly recommend you to by heart this shloka. This is nothing actually. In first year, you are learning very less shlokas, hardly some 100, 200 shlokas. Second, third year and all, you'll have to by heart so many shlokas. So it is always better to by heart this because sometimes in your university exams, they might ask you the vata karma. So if you write this shloka, you'll get good marks, and also you'll be having a general idea about what exactly vata does. When we say, when some of your friends ask, hey, tell me what vata is, what does it do exactly in your body? So these are the examples. These are pretty good examples. Okay, I'll be explaining you later. First, I will read the shloka just for your convenience so that you will know how to pronounce it properly. Okay, wherever there are commas, you also need to put comma because that is the word where the word ends and another word starts, or one sentence ends, the other sentence starts. Okay, so you also need to read it like that. Okay, so I'm going to read it now. So read along with me, or you can pause the video and you can read it for yourself after listening to my reading. Yeah. So Vayustantrayantradharah प्राणोदान समान व्यानापानात्मा प्रवर्तश्चेष्टानाम उच्चावचानाम नियंता प्रणेता च मनसः सर्वेन्द्रियाणाम उद्योजकः सर्वेन्द्रियार्थानाम अभिबोधा सर्वशरीर धातु व्यूहकरः संधानकरः शरीरस्य प्रवर्तको वाचः प्रकृतिः प्रकृतिः स्पर्शशब्दयोः श्रोत्रस्पर्शनयोर्मूलं हर्षोत्साहयोर्योनिः समीरणो अग्निः दोषसंशोषणः क्षिप्ताबहिर्मलानां स्थूलानुस्रोतसां भेत्ता कर्ता गर्भाकृतीनाम् आयुषो अनुवृत्ति प्रत्ययभूतो भवति अकुपितः. So this is what Sushruta says. So what does he say? Let us see. Yeah. So, uh, mm, maintaining and controlling all the human machinery of the body. Okay, tantra, yantra, dhara. Yantra is a machine. Our body is described as a machine, and it does the dharana of the tantra and yantra. In short, it is saying anatomically and physiologically, the vata is responsible for controlling the body. Okay, that is what they are saying. Pravar tat niyanta praneta che niyanta praneta cha manasa. So mind. So you will study about prana, vayu pranotra murdagaha. It is said already, right? So what does it mean? The prana which is residing in the head is responsible for the control of your thoughts. That's why pranayama is said. The control of prana, which is responsible for controlling of the thoughts. The thoughts which are also moving in your head is due to the vata dosha. Okay. Sarvendriyanam utyojagaha. It stimulates and controls all the sense organs of the body, of course. Without Vata dosha, the person is paralyzed, right? We know that, right? And then, Sarvendriyarthanam abhiboda. It directs the senses to their respective objects. If there is a perception, if there is a visual perception, you are processing it. That is due to the Vata dosha. Without that, it is not possible to even interpret what is going on, isn't it? So you can imagine. I am not supposed to say this, but you can imagine the nervous system. Okay, and Sarva Sharira Dhatu Vyuhakara. It is responsible for the building or the proper nourishment reaching the tissues and the organs, because the movement has to happen in the srotas. Yesterday we were dealing about the srotas. For that movement in the srotas, for that Agni to process it also, Vata is required, isn't it? And Sandhanakara Sharirasya, next one. It does a Sandhana karma of the Sharira. Of course, when I say a Sandhana, Kapha might come to your mind. But that Kapha to be brought to that place is also the work of Vata only. Okay. Pravartako Vacha induces speech. You cannot speak without Vata, because that is also having an involvement of tongue and your palate and your jaw. Everything, there is a movement, right? Pravartako Vacha. Prakriti Shabdasparshanayo Shrotrasparshanayor Moolam. Moola, the cause of sound and tactile sensation, right? Shabda and Sparsha, two words. Sparsha is the tactile sensation of the skin. As I've told you, skin is having, skin is a special seat of Vata. And Shabda, sound, to be reached into the ear. That is also the work of Vata. To process it in the brain, that is also work of Vata. Okay? Harshotsaha yonihi. It gives harsha and utsaha. It gives happiness and utsaha, enthusiasm. And it also stimulates the digestive power. Samirano agnehe. It stimulates the agni. Okay. So, I always take this example of, say, what do we call? A diya. Without air, do you think the light of the diya will be there? It won't be, right? You need oil, you need the fire, and you also need vata, right? I hope you understood my example. And dosha samshoshanaha, the excessive kleda or the moisture or the kapha which is present is dried up by vata, because as I've told you, it has ruksha quality. Okay. Kshepta bahirmalanam. Bahi is outside. Mala are the waste products. Kshepta is a movement or excretion. Excretion is a function of apana vayu. You'll be studying it in the next class. Okay. Stula anu srotasam bhitta. Stula and anu, big and small, all kinds of srotasas, formation of all kinds of srotasas is due to Vata, of course. In the embryological development, Vata plays a key role in the development of the fetus, according to Ayurveda. Karta Garbha Kritinam. It gives a shape to the embryo. Garbha is the embryo, Akriti is the shape. What they are talking about might be possibly the differentiation of the different organs happening in the embryo. It is also due to Vata. Okay. Ayusho anuvritti pratyaya bhutaha. Ayusho anuvritti. Ayu is the life. It sustains the very life of the person. Okay. And then what? It controls the segmentation or division of cells. It is from Sharangara Samhita. Vibhaga Karanaha Mata, Vibhaga or the differentiation. See how beautifully Sharangara has told. It is a Vibhaga or Vibhajana of anything in the body. Okay. Uchvasa and Nishvasa. The breath is controlled by Vata, of course. And proper movements of Dhatu, as it has been told earlier already. So these are, so many functions have been told. It is not possible to tell every function. There are innumerable functions, but these are the major functions, right? Yeah. So the 5 types of Vata and their individual functions, we will talk in the next class. Please make a note of the Vata Karma and also by heart the shloka of the Sthana or Sthanas of the Vata. Okay, and Nirupti also. Please make a note of this. We'll talk about this in the next class. Thank you.